Hey folks, welcome to the Generational Gap. I am Robert, your resident Gen Xer, and right over there, as usual, is John, your resident Millennial, the neckbeard,
Yes,
the
that's me.
uniposer,
The neckest of beards. Oh
all right,
shit,
new rule.
Mr.
What?
P's coming through with the new rule.
Hold on. Let
The
me
mod
check something.
speaketh.
Let me check something.
The mod speaketh.
Host, host,
Yes.
underling. All right. I just want to make sure
I kind of agree with this rule.
No, no,
Not
no.
allowed to
I will bitch pedantically all I want.
pedantically.
It is my job to bitch
Not only that, it's your
pedantically.
duty. God, you can't even speak.
I'm the reactionary here. I get to react. That's my job. It's my job to be fucking outraged. It's my job to not give a shit about stuff that doesn't matter. It's my job to, well, bitch.
It's my job to shut other white people down when they want to speak out about racism against them.
Oh my God, John.
It's my job to shut other white people down. Remember that chick from the DNC? Like when they were trying to pick their new leader?
Yeah.
New Führer of the DNC.
Well,
Shit was great.
You know, these snowflakes. These snowflakes.
Yeah.
They want to control other people's speech. They want to control what
That's right.
people say. I have a right to bitch. I can say what the fuck I want. Isn't that the way it's supposed to work, John? I can say what the fuck
It's
I want.
supposed to work.
I can say what the fuck I want. All right,
Indeed.
John, how was your weekend? Let's get that out of the way. You lived through it, it looks like.
Yeah, I'm still here for now. For now.
Yeah. Faux now?
Faux now.
You ready to peace out? I'm ready to peace out. I'm ready to go someplace where there's not a lot of people.
Oh yeah. No, that's my favorite place to be. Where there's only like maybe 2 or 3 other people. It's the best way to be.
I am a big fan of that right now.
That's why this streaming thing is great, because I can talk to people while not having anyone else around me. It's pretty sweet.
So it's been a little bit interesting.
It has.
Over the weekend. A lot has gone on. And I have to tell you, it hits close to home for me, of course. Right? The whole incident in El Paso. Of course, from my source, Walmart employees across the country are freaking out right now.
Oh yeah.
They are freaking the F out. How is Walmart going to protect us? Because they're seeing this, and apparently, as it has come to me, at least 3 Walmarts that had bomb threats as well this weekend being called into them.
Now, is that something normal for Walmart, or is that
yes,
in general?
Yes and no, but of course it's going to stand out a hell of a lot more after a weekend like this, right? Now, of course, Walmart. The biggest problem is and one of the things that's been called for by employees, and I'm saying this just on the down low, as it were, is the ability to carry. But, as a company, Walmart, most employers don't allow, weapons on the premises when you're at work, right?
Right.
But also they run into the simple fact that in most places you can't bring a weapon into a place that sells alcohol, which Walmart does. Even the customers are not supposed to be coming in carrying if the establishment sells alcohol. Not that stops people, right?
Right, but it's an extra charge if you get caught doing something.
Sure, but it is a definite deterrent for employees. But they're rightfully scared. This weekend weekend scared a lot of people. So that's 2 mass shootings, one in Texas and one in Ohio. I haven't seen anything that correlates the two, but there was that going on, and then we have we'll talk about it a little bit. There was North Korea's been going on. We're having a major deja vu with North Korea right now, in my opinion. They're throwing some missiles around, and then they're pissed off that we're having the drills with South Korea again. Right. So it's like, wait a minute, have we done this before?
It's almost like it's happened. Yeah, it's almost like it happens every couple of years, you know.
Right? Is this some common occurrence? So of course, you know, this makes me want to say to you again, John, I told you so. We're not moving forward with anything in North Korea. This is just kind of is still status quo with North Korea.
I still maintain my position.
You know, yes, you know, he stepped into North Korea. He went into North Korea. I'll give him that. He accomplished that. A president has been in North Korea now.
Yep.
But I don't know. The game, I'm tired. I don't want that game going on when we've got the Iran game going on, and you know, it's like, how many nuclear fires do we have to put out at any one given time right now?
All of them, apparently.
Yeah, so you know, it's like, okay, do we have a major impending Cold War coming again? You know, what the fuck is going to happen?
Oh shit! It's a Michael Vega in the chat where he belongs.
There's Michael Vega, the man with the plan.
That's right, the myth.
Yeah, I want to shout out to Michael Vega. Glad to hear that all of your people are safe, and I know that was close to home for you, and that's some scary shit.
And I also left the legend out on purpose there, Michael. Just letting you know. Definitely the myth and the man.
Wow, that's just rude.
I know. I know. I feel bad now. I like Michael. He's cool.
Wow, you should consider issuing an on-air apology.
The man without the data plan.
Without the data plan, that's awesome.
Yeah, dude, that's funny. I like it, Midget. So now that we have a couple people in here, before we start getting into our topics,
yes, you've got an announcement to make, John. Do you need a drum roll?
2 announcements to make. 2, and they're awesome.
Boom.
First announcement. Friday, August 30th. We have a very special guest lined up. Just got confirmation today. We're going to have Blonde from Beauty and the Beta and from her own channel, Blonde and the Belly of the Beast. She'll be joining us for a Friday show. So that'll be awesome. Can't wait for that. And then we've also got on Friday, December 6th, we are doing a 12-hour charity live stream again, as we've done before. This time we're going to choose something more Christmassy, something more in the season. I'm thinking Toys for Tots, not 100%, but I want to check it out, make sure it's not one of those charities that keeps most of the money for themselves. So we'll look into it and see who we're going to give to, but keep an eye out for that. That's going to be awesome. We'll get more details as we make them up, and we'll let you guys know. But yeah, looking forward to it, very much so.
What are you going to say? Is there any chance we could consider Toys for Tater Tots?
We can eat tater tots.
Well, right.
While we
people could buy toys, and we'll donate them. No. We'll return them and take the money and buy tater tots, and then we'll have a big tater tot party.
There you go. Perfect.
Big tater tot party. That would be Christmas, and we'll invite everybody that's close by, and eat tater tots. No, Toys for Tots is a good organization. I'm a big fan of theirs because they do a lot of good.
Yep.
You know, it's they've been around since I was a tot, as it were. But who's in it? There is a.
Michael Vegas making fun of you. Boomer.exe stopped functioning.
Right.
But we could do Christmas versus Happy Holidays topics. I mean, we'll have 12 hours. There's plenty of stuff we can talk about.
Well,
and we've got more time now than we had for the last one, so I'm sure we'll plan a lot better this time. And so yeah, it'll be awesome. I can't wait.
I throw a challenge. I'd like to throw a challenge out there that we schedule 2 different debates during the show.
2. Holy shit.
2 debates.
Dude, that many people disagree with this? I don't think so. Pretty sure.
That many people. No, there's that many people with an axe to grind in our. I mean, really. I mean, one thing I've picked up from just about everybody in our server is almost everybody has their own axe to grind in some little way, shape, or form, right? It's just interesting, but now there's enough distinct takes on issues that there could be some real good, healthy debate. I don't know about doing. I don't know. At the present point, another gun debate maybe due come Christmas, especially when we're looking at the Congress closing down for the year, what kind of things they may do before the end of the year. My mom's dead, but her axe is ground down. Thanks for pointing that out.
What's funny is, like, I know that's true for you, but like I've heard that my whole life. Anytime you make a your mom joke, everyone's like, "Oh, well, my mom's dead."
No, yeah, but she
like
decided
I said, I know it's true for you, but
mine just died a year and a half ago, too. A year and a half.
Was it?
Yeah.
No.
It was
no
Christmas a year ago, almost. Was it?
It might have been the most recent Christmas.
No, it was just this past Christmas. God, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
God, time's fun when you're having flies.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Yeah, it's less than a year. I was thinking old age.
Yeah.
Yep. But anyway, no, she passed away right before this past Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, so, Midget B, you're a dick. God.
Right.
Nah, it's okay. It's okay.
But, there's enough interesting spins from different people in on the Discord or, whoever we might manage to challenge between now and then. It would be fun to do, so.
Oh, yeah, I always love doing debates. I would like to be involved in one of them.
It's quite possible that the campaigns may have opened the doors to all sorts of debatable topics. I think reparations is going to be needs to be a topic of debate.
Yeah, but we got to find someone who agrees with reparations.
We need to,
or at least someone who can play the part.
I don't know that I want to talk to somebody that agrees with reparations.
I mean, I'll talk to anyone.
Hey,
I don't care. I want to hear the perspective. I want to hear why. And a good reason other than, like, I just want money.
Yeah, but I'm an asshole, so
myself.
It's just one of those things, so.
I guess.
So, John, something else interesting that happened, and we're going to talk about this on another show as it broadens out, and I'm able to read into it.
I disavow what Midget B says.
Yeah, I don't even. I put him on ignore. After that mom thing.
Muted him.
Yeah.
Aww. Poor Midget B.
No, there was a big media merger today. The two largest.
Michael Vega, we would have to give you Texas.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah, just
for
give
reparations.
Well, just give them the.
No, give them California. They can just have California.
Give them the Alamo.
No, we can't do that.
Just give them that one thing.
Remember the people who died there.
Yeah.
For Texas or something.
Yeah, something. Remember the Alamo.
Yeah.
But anyway, going to talk about this at a later point, but the two largest U.S. newspaper companies have now combined into a $1.4 billion conglomerate. So all it's Gatehouse Media is buying USA Today from Gannett. Basically everything that they've got, but they're bringing it all under one umbrella because they're hoping that by having so much media, they'll be able to save the print industry.
That's just really stupid.
Yeah. So something to keep in mind, but this also means that there's one entity controlling a large quantity of the media.
That is terrifying.
Is that not a little bit nerve-wracking?
Absolutely terrifying. For sure.
So that being said, John, and based off what you said, I think that it is inherent that we talk about what came out of Donald Trump's mouth today, and I'm not saying that from the standpoint that Trump is bad, Orange Man bad. This has got nothing to do with that. This has got to do with a president.
No, in this case, Orange Man bad. In this case, yes.
He's, he has today opened the door to attack both the First and Second Amendment and legislate the shit out of them. And he said it in word, not by deed yet. So let's make that clear. He hasn't done anything. But what he said is very indicative of what is possibly coming. So he was talking about the shootings in both El Paso, where a wicked man went into a Walmart store, and the Twisted Monster who went into Dayton, Ohio, hours later.
Yeah.
He says, these barbaric slaughters are an assault upon our communities, an attack upon our nation, and a crime against all humanity. The shooter in El Paso posted a manifesto online consumed by racist hate. This is very important, what he said. In one voice, our nation must condemn racism, bigotry, and white supremacy. In one voice, John. And we know where that voice would be, I think.
Well, I mean, so also condemning something isn't the same thing as getting rid of it.
Hold on.
Completely.
Yes.
By force.
Agreed. He also said mental illness
Yes.
and hatred pulls the trigger, not the gun. He said, today I am also directing, so there was some action, the Department of Justice to propose legislation ensuring that those who commit hate crimes and mass murders face the death penalty, and that this capital punishment be delivered quickly, decisively. Those who commit hate crimes and mass murders.
Well,
if you call somebody, no, I get it,
Yeah,
but,
no, that's
right?
still,
scary language.
I still think you have due process. Sorry, like I don't care what you did, you have due process, and that is not necessarily quick.
But then he said this, and here he, the perils of internet and social media cannot be ignored and will not be ignored. Blaming gruesome and grisly video games for the glorification of violence in our society.
They're coming for your video.
So the video games are back on the table.
And he's not the only one who's been saying it either. There's been lots of people saying it.
He is equating. He is of course tying a lot of this to immigration reform. Not that it's really, these people are responding to, well, at least we know in El Paso, this was an act out against immigrants in a sense, because, his manifesto, if I'm not mistaken, was speaking against the influx of people into this country, the problems, etc. Kind of those Trump talking points, not pointing a finger at Trump, just saying similar talking points talking about immigrants. He specifically
said, though, that he held those views way before Trump was even campaigning.
Right.
So, no, they had nothing to do with Trump.
Right, but these are similar talking points. We just taken from Trump's view of the people that are coming, how he has spoken about the people coming into this country. When we talk about MS-13, the monsters and the rapists and the drug cartels, etc.
Well, those are true, yeah.
Right, and this does happen. I get it. So similar talking points, but this idea that this is. I had hoped that you were correct, that he wouldn't speak to attacking the First Amendment. He doesn't specifically attack gun control so much, except that he did tweet. Supposedly, one of his tweets did talk about strong background checks on people who have guns, but. Those things he said specifically target, in my opinion, many things that are going to fall under the First Amendment, freedom of speech and freedom of press, if they do, as he said, if they are not ignored. They will not be ignored. The internet and social media are not going to be ignored now. That's a scary thought. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely seems like that. Definitely seems like they're going to be trying to regulate the internet however they can, and that's what people have been looking for.
Right, and Michael Vega, you've got a good point there. What does the regular background check look into? And it's absolutely yeah, he's trying to tie the universal background checks, immigration
There's
legislation, everything.
the left a bone.
Yeah, he's trying to tie everything together, but yes, no, the background check already does what it's supposed to do. I mean, yes, people slip through the cracks, but that's because they may falsify something, or otherwise it falls into it didn't get done in time. Remember when we talked about that, and I was finding that really the main slippage through the cracks were just when the FBI background checks weren't done within the amount of time, and then the gun shop owner can go ahead and release the weapon if it doesn't come back in the time frame.
Right.
So, it's not like the background checks aren't in place. It's just if they're going to talk stronger background checks, that means enforcing them in places like gun shows and stuff like that is my thought. I'd have to look at the legislation to see how they're tying it, so maybe that's a discussion for another time. But I don't like the idea of I remember in the 80s and 90s, as video games were making their emergence onto the scene in a major way. This, the censorship, the rating systems and everything slowly developed over time. The call for these things, I mean, of course, I can go as far back as calling for the, stopping the play of Dungeons and Dragons too.
Shit, the FTC is probably the first instance that I can think of, at least. There may be more, but the FCC is the first thing that I can remember.
Yeah. Well, I mean, granted, like I said, this has gone back to the times, Christian leaders calling out against Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games,
During the Satanic Panic,
there was destroying kids' minds. It was glorifying violence and evil and
sorcery, especially
sorcery and all of this, and paganistic values and this, that, and the other. They, a lot of them will say, a lot of people will say, Christians, there are fundamental Christians that do believe that, like, Dungeons and Dragons opened the door to a wide paganistic movement in the world, primarily in America, of course, that broadened the horizons of people. But I'm like, no, that was the 70s. Drugs. Yeah. The drugs in the 70s,
while they were smoking weed while playing Dungeons and Dragons.
Right. But the 70s opened people's minds up. The sexual revolution opened people's minds up. It wasn't Dungeons and Dragons, ruining the world.
At least on its own.
No. But the idea about video games being censored, well, that's been going on. And I mean, it's, when you talk about it now, well, they have rating systems. So it's on the parents to decide what the children play and see. So if the parents aren't controlling it, and you think that something needs to be done about it as the government, the only other option is to control the production of them, what's allowed to be made. I mean, that is really the only thing I can see. Is that correct?
No, it's absolutely on the parents. I'm really sick of people just kind of blaming everything else except for the person who did the action. Going back to the shooting. The shootings.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing, but I mean, they do that for everything, right? Where it's never someone's fault for doing something. It's always everything else. It's always whatever I don't like it's their fault. It's that fault.
Well,
it's not the fault of the person who pulled the trigger. It's not the fault of the person who, is I don't know, became a Satanist. I don't know what the other things would be. That's the fault of the person who did it. Same thing with this, like, people are being radicalized online because they wanted to be radicalized. That's why they didn't. I mean, they sought that information out.
You know what?
They didn't just stumble on it and were just helpless before its might. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's always like people don't have any kind of agency of their own. They just soak up whatever information is in front of them and believe it 100% without any kind of thought.
Right.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, if I wanted to play devil's advocate, I could say that, what is available today via the internet, via video games, via all of it, television shows, streaming shows, whatever the case may be, YouTube, there is absolutely a high level of desensitization that goes on in our culture today. I mean, It really, and it's, there are arguments to be made for what it's done to our society. And, Big Daddy government, if they think it's going to, if it starts to pop up like this, this weekend was pinnacle, John. For some reason, this one, with the two of them happening so close together, I've got a bad feeling about what it's going to do. This one's really got me weirded out in the head a little bit. And, well, I mean, how else could you control video games when we've already got them to the point where it's in the parents' hands to make the decisions? Haven't we gone as far as we can with that? With any kind of media, the controls are there for parents to make choices. So how, as a government, do you control the choices that the parents are making? Or do you control the product that's coming?
Yeah, no, it's the parents' responsibility to control the content that their children are consuming.
Sure,
and
I agree with
acknowledge
that.
Something that to address something that Mitch B saying there. He said it certainly seems like a lot of folks do operate at that level, John. Fucking NPCs, man. There are literally people out there without internal monologue. That's actually largely been debunked. Aiden Paladin has a great video about that, where she kind of goes into the actual studies and the methodologies behind how they found out that information. I think it's called like literal NPCs or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the video is called. It's from a little while ago, maybe like 6-7 months ago. But yeah, I mean that's largely debunked. That's not a real thing, really. But I don't believe that people honestly operate at that level. I think that they're allowed to operate at that level because they're told to. Like, I guess they're raised to. I guess that's the main thing.
Well, let me interject an anecdotal argument into this, and I'm going, because I've met someone that would be considered an NPC, in my opinion. Spent many years with this person, and when he says there are literally people out there without internal monologue. While I don't agree with that, what I do agree with is that there are people out there that their internal monologue is a constant flow of supporting their own delusions. It's not an internal monologue where other people sit and question their own motives or determine a course of action or how I'm going to accomplish this or what are the outcomes or what are the ramifications, these kind of things. Their internal monologue is specifically self-feeding their own delusions where they literally box things out and just focus on the drone mentality of a day-to-day life. They're waiting to die. And they have this delusion that they don't have issues, they don't have problems, everything is, and they'll absorb anything that's told to them and buy into it or put on a face that says they're buying into it or nod their head at the appropriate times and sheeple their way through life. I mean, I think this very much speaks to the sheeple mentality.
Yeah, and I can agree with what Midget Beast said to kind of clarify, I guess. He said, how about they're rewarded for doing so? At least their chances for negative feedback are minimized so as to not reward or punish them. Right, I mean, that makes a lot more sense.
Sure, exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's certainly a lot easier not to actually think about things and just accept what's given to you. But, I mean, I think obviously, given the option, I think most people are capable of critical thinking. I mean, I do it all the time. I'm not anyone special. I don't have some kind of, like, special genius IQ. My brain isn't that big. I don't have that many wrinkles in my brain,
Sure.
But I don't think it takes that much. I really don't think it takes that much to do it. And I think given the opportunity, people can, and people will.
I think you have to look at critical thinking, much like, I don't know, I could make like a limb. Like if you don't use it, it just kind of dries up and goes away. Yeah, you might be able to restart it, but if you just shut yourself off from critical thinking to where everything just is taken at face value for long enough, you build a level of naivety and gullibility that no amount of, it's hard to get that critical thinking kickstarted. It really is.
And see, that's fair, yeah, because the worst like fate I could see for myself is just working a monotonous job day in and day out and doing nothing but working that, going home, eating, going to sleep. Like, that is probably the worst fate I can think of. Well, but the unfortunate thing is that so many people do that for their entire lives, and they don't have a chance of thinking or doing anything else. It's just work and go home, and then work and go home, and then work and go home. That's it.
Well, Midget,
that is just that is really sad. I can't do it.
Midget makes a good point. He says Disneyfication is a great example of the system molding to accommodate the lowest common denominator. It offers a simple positive feedback for minimum input. Yeah, and I have to agree with that. And this is also happening. See, this is the kind of thing that happens at in public education as well. I disagree with children graduating from every fucking grade when they're young. Why do you graduating first grade, second grade, third grade? This is not a thing. There's 12 years of school that you graduate from. But this idea that we need to celebrate normalcy and no, that's, you didn't do any extra effort. You passed first grade. Woo!
Yeah, see, I had a kindergarten graduation, and then a 5th grade graduation, and then an 8th grade graduation, and then obviously finally the 12th grade graduation.
And how many of those?
But like any other times, we just went out for dinner at the end of the year. Like, that was
right. But like, and how many of those graduations did you need? Like,
I can understand like 5th grade or 8th grade.
Really?
Well.
Why?
I can understand it because you're moving on. It's another part of your life. You're moving on. I'm not saying that you have to do it. I'm just saying I get it.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I don't agree with any of it. I think it's just. No, yes, I did pass first grade, but I didn't graduate first grade, which is a far different thing. So I might need to go back and get my first grade GED. I don't know. Do I need to go back and get that? How many grades do I need to get my GED for? He certainly didn't get a graduation. No, I did not. I didn't. I actually dropped out of high school. But
really? I didn't know that?
I did go. Sure. Yeah, I did go get my GED, and then I went for 2 years to college.
Nice.
So
you're all get it up. You got to get.
Yeah, it's surprisingly
they're throwing shade.
Surprisingly, it's, that was one of those things where that's where it cemented the idea in my head that trade schools needed to make a comeback when I took the GED, because when I did that, I had dropped out in the 11th grade. But when I went to the University of Georgia and took my GED, I was like, man, I learned most of this stuff in 7th, 8th grade. So the GED at that time was just simply getting you to pass on a very basic, early high school level at best. The same way you would have, gone into a trade school once upon a time back in the day. You'd have been in 7th, 8th grade. They'd have been like, you're not going to make it through high school. Here's a trade school. This is the best option for you. You'll have a good life. Yeah. And they did.
See, I think that I would have been given that option as well. Because, like, I never did well in school. I passed, but I never did, like, exceptionally well. But, I don't know. I was also smarter than most people in my school. I'm not bragging or anything. It's not a very high bar, but
I think with millennials and Gen Z, this celebrating mediocrity has created such a level of is a big player in the level of entitlement that was created. It's it's pointless. It's insane that I don't know. It's just kind of like they did with extracurricular sports, youth sports. It's like in the Pee Wee leagues, everybody wins. Everybody gets a trophy. Why the fuck does everybody get a trophy? Somebody had to lose. You need
Right.
winners and losers. You will not learn how to compete in this fucking world if you don't have winners and losers. I'm sorry, I don't care what anybody says. You must have winners, you must have losers, and somebody has to learn to pick themselves up and try again and win the next time. I mean, am I wrong?
See, that's why. Well, that's why I advocate for people learning martial arts over other kind of sports, because you can tell there's a clear loser, and the loser is the one with the biggest and most bruises on them. That's the best way to know. I mean, it's clear who wins and loses in that case, even if you don't keep track of the score.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm tired of it. No Child Left Behind killed this country from an educational standpoint. You know what?
It did.
You know what? I think that the quality of your electricians, your mechanics, the quality of your plumbers, I believe all of that declined once you expected them to be educated. And I don't mean that in a negative way. But they forced them to be educated by high school, which they don't get, and then try and learn. Right, and then try and learn to do this. That's right. Yes. A lot of people pick up the trades, and a lot of people are successful. They're learning it the proper way. I'm not saying that it's not, but I do believe that the quality standards have gone down when you don't have people learning from a young age, specifically trained to do those. Trade schools, hit me, Linda, they were the shit. They were right on the money. They were the thing.
Funny thing is, I actually remember when a 95% used to be an A, and a 94 was a B. And then I remember when they switched it to where 90 is an A and an 89 is a B. And you can still pass with a D.
I remember all the way through 9th grade at the school that I went to. I was in the Midwest. I was in Oklahoma, so a small town and everything. So it was just educational standards. It was just you're learning everything that we have to offer, and. Man, yeah, I remember, you wanted to score an A, you needed to hit above a 96. It's like, if I scored a 98, I freaked the fuck out. I was like, oh, I'm not doing well, I'm not doing well.
Oh, man.
But yeah, you were expected, and, but on the flip side, I'm not saying we weren't rewarded. Right, so we got paid for our grades. If you scored, if you got an A, you got $3 for an A.
Oh shit! You're gonna be mad then.
You got a B, you got $1. Well, think of the difference in money from then to now.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, that's true. Money in 1885 is a lot different than the money now. No, I used to get $20 for an A, and 10 for a B, and that was it. Though I didn't get shit for a C.
Yeah, but no, nothing for a C.
Yeah,
but you were an entitled millennial too, so
that's true. Yeah,
you were busy working towards your big 5th grade graduation, trying to get that GPA right where it needed to be, so you could be accepted into the best middle schools.
That's right.
You piece of shit. I mean, that's all I think about when I think about these. Oh, the first graders they're graduating. Whew. Is it going to be tough to get into a really good 2nd grade class? I mean, Miss Whitaker's, man, she has some stiff requirements. What's your coloring GPA, honey? I mean,
well, luckily in 1st grade I was reading my first SAT prep, so I mean that was a good thing. At least I got that out of the way.
John, you were just learning letters, S-A-T, and words. That was one of your first words, SAT. That you were just learning a word, John. You weren't preparing for a test. You were just learning a word.
I was wondering why that word wasn't even on the test.
Right, they were keeping you to the small syllables, buddy. Small syllables. So yeah, I mean, when it's all said and done, I mean, we've got a conditioned mindset, and this, to me, John, ties very much into the government stepping on the First Amendment, because we are creating enough of a sheeple mindset that people will go along with it under the idea that the government is protecting our right to free speech by controlling it. We have learned over the years that if we ask, they will do, and now it's it's starting to look like action actions being taken are another form of asking for our government to step in, combined with the voices in the vocal minority who are screaming out for equality and the stopping of hate crimes through violent words and hurtful words. I don't know, John. We're fucked.
Yeah. I hate this. Yeah, this like we need to protect freedom of speech by curbing it. It's like, yeah, you're free to say whatever you want to say, as long as you say what we say you can say.
John, that's how they will sell it.
Did I ever read that link that Midget B sent me? Did I read that? I'm gonna check my DMs.
That is correct, Linda. Words are violence, according to dependent upon who you talk to. Yes, words are being considered violent now, and I mean, there's Mr. Trump may have an answer for that. He may know just what to do. I'm curious, John. Do you think this is going to draw out the executive action pen?
Executive action? I mean, he did already ban bump stocks and silencers with it, right? Didn't he ban silencers?
I think so.
I know it was bump stops. Bunks. Wow. Bump stops.
How's that tongue working?
What are nudes considered? Not well.
No, words are violence, so what are nudes considered? If words are violence, nudes would be rape.
Sexual assault, yeah.
Nudes are rape.
For sure.
Nudes are rape. That's what nudes would be considered. Sexual assault, rape, same thing. You raped my eyes. That's what it would be.
That's right.
Yeah, it would be
even if I wanted them, it's still rape. Sorry. I mean, I know I'm wearing sunglasses, but that doesn't mean I'm asking for it, okay? Come on.
Internet rape of the eye. Ire.
The ire. Yeah.
He's been charged with ire from an angry woman.
And yes, Linda, obviously that means you must be. Sorry to tell you. If you could just turn yourself in to the nearest police station, that would be amazing.
All there has to be is a request, and it's consensual, so you're good.
No, that's not true. Not if you withdraw consent later.
You just got to screenshot it all. That's the important thing. Not that I recommend anybody do any screenshotting, and that's just crazy. I don't know, John. This kind of really, I'll say it again, it really put me on edge when I saw this. This is the first time I've actually seen him actively speak towards action, as opposed to just calling out to the gods to, the angry gods to smite these fake news medias, and this sounds like a call to action, a call to arms in Washington to do something about these things. I don't know how much is going to impact gun legislation, but I pointed out to you little tidbit personal story. My brother contacted me over the weekend, sent me a simple message. He said, "Crazy weekend, huh?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, the gun legislation is going to be the soup du jour for the next 2 to 3 weeks in the media. And he said, "Yeah, but nothing is really going to happen as long as Mitch McConnell is, sitting running the Senate." He said, "Sometimes I'm not sure if he isn't worse than Trump." But then, 2 hours later, Mitch McConnell fractures his shoulder at his home, and it was so ironic. As Senate is calling for him to cancel their recess so they can immediately talk about gun legislation. This is happening over the weekend as all this is going on. So he fractures a shoulder while Senate is saying cancel our recess so we can talk about guns. Weird little things happening with the whole thing, but
he's pretty lucky he didn't get accidentally to death. Very well might have happened.
Now, one thing I will say, John, is if the Senate is saying, hey, we need to talk about gun legislation. That's a Republican-led Senate right there. And, you know, that tells me that there might be some serious conversation going on. Because, I mean, I don't know, knee-jerk reaction as it might be, Republicans will say, oh shit, we're going to have to make something happen when something, you know, in the wake of this. You know, I don't know. Thoughts?
Not many. No. Yeah, I don't know where it's going to go. It looks like we are going to get some more gun legislation, and then another thing is going to happen. And we're going to get more. And this is the kind of thing that we were talking about before. We were talking about this Chicken Little mentality. I mean, do you see it now? I mean, it is happening.
Well, that's what I say. Yeah, I mean, you know, with gun control. Yeah, but now the sad part about it is this is, you know, when I look at gun control, it's not the government it's not the government coming down on people with gun control out of nowhere. It's responses to idiots.
Yes, yeah.
Turning guns into an issue in a sense. I don't know the best way to put that. I know the gun is not the issue. It's the person wielding the gun. I get it.
Right.
It's not the manufacturer. It's the person. But
I mean, it's the same idea as if one of my swords over here is going to jump out of its sheath and stab somebody. It's not.
But these same people,
an inanimate object.
It's right, and these people that are like trying to, you know, especially this idiot in El Paso, in some twisted way, he's trying to preserve America and protect from all. Dude, you're ruining the game for the rest of us. You know, you're fucking things up for the rest of us.
Mitchell P put it pretty succinctly. Conservative's going to cuck, and that's 100% true. I mean, that's why I can't be a conservative. That's why I can't be a Republican. Like, because they're just going to give in too many times. And, I mean, they don't want smaller government like they talk about. You know, they just want bigger government in a different way. And they're going to give in too many times. And it's just, it's a problem.
It's
libertarianism is the way to go, even though libertarians suck. But at least they won't take my rights away, you know.
But libertarians suck in so many different ways. That's
right.
The
they suck in their own unique and special way.
That's the beauty of the libertarian. It's But now with the other half of this, with the First Amendment, though, now this is saying that the internet and social media and video games is the problem is wow, it's sad to say that that's right and wrong, right? I mean, it needs to be a bastion of free speech because it's an open, that's what it is, right? It's just another avenue for free speech. And but on the flip side, it breeds this kind of shit. It breeds it. When you look at things like 4chan and 8chan and Reddit and some of these, anything that carries a subversive element to a certain extent, you can breed these kind of things. You can blame the internet for things. Social media, the way Facebook and Twitter, the cancer that they are with racism and bigotry and their fucking censorship, and wannabe censorship and deplatforming. It's just breeding so much dissent. Do we not want it controlled?
I don't think that. Hang on, because I don't think you can blame 4chan.
Well, I'm using them as an example.
Well, but it's a bad example though, because 4chan is self-regulating. But in that if you say something stupid, you're gonna have 20 people calling you a fucking idiot over and over and over again.
Right, within that, sure, within that,
and among other things that I can't say on YouTube because we'll get taken down. But they'll call you every name in the book. But
from the standpoint of fomenting dissent, they 4chan could be an avenue that we could say foments dissent. in whatever way. Yes, I understand that there's a lot of positive negatives associated with 4chan, and there's a certain level of troll mentality that comes out of 4chan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it is, it's a ripple effect. That troll mentality leads to dissent. You foment dissent, and then you sow discord, and from sowing discord, you create chaos. I mean, it's a chain effect. That almost sounded good. I should write that down.
Yeah, that almost sounded like you knew what you were talking about.
Right? So you follow this path. I mean, and I'm not saying 4chan is like the source. I'm saying it's just one of the many sources on the internet. So does it not behoove us to listen to our great orange leader that the internet and social media must not be ignored when we see these kind of things happen?
Well, I mean, if that's the case, Facebook and Twitter need to be shut down. Oh, see you, Linda. Because, I mean...
Bye, Linda.
Like, the Christchurch shooter streamed his shooting on Facebook. You know? So, if these are the breeding grounds, well, then they need to be shut down by the logic of the left, obviously, or the logic of whoever, is trying to shut these sites down that are supposedly breeding, hate and stuff.
But if that logic, that quote-unquote logic, spreads from the left to the right, I mean, imagine the creeper vine, John. I mean, one minute...
No, I mean, I remember 10 years ago when it was the right spouting this kind of stuff. I mean, it's just switched, and it's... I mean, maybe it'll switch back, maybe it'll level out between the two. I don't know. But either way, it's bad.
I don't think you want them to find a common middle ground.
Yeah.
That's where you don't want them. That's where you don't want them as a common middle ground. I don't want divisiveness, but I don't want a common middle ground, because the common middle ground is going to stop us. Number one and number two, and if they're smart, they're going to squash number two and act on it, and then squash number one, because with the mindset that number two will protect number one unless you take number two away first.
And Midgeby's right there about 4chan is a bad example because it's acting as a platform and other services.
Well, I'm not. It's not about what it's acting at. It was the example of it was just what is bred from it and other sites like it, other sites like Facebook, other sites like Twitter, other sites across the board. Any site that foments dissent, whether it foments dissent against the establishment or for the establishment, it pisses somebody off and creates more issue. So that would be an argument that can be made for instituting some sort of censorship on the internet in social media, these kind of things. These are the arguments that will be made, is what the repercussions of what's allowed to happen on the internet. So I get what these things are, and I get what they do for the good and the bad. I mean, Facebook does great things. There's great things that serve people every day with Facebook, that use it and gain a lot from it in their own lives, right? However you want to call it, just from the social interaction that they might not otherwise have. It is what it is. But the negatives can be found, and unfortunately, all the government really wants to do is find a way to tie it all back to these kind of acts of violence, and thus allow them to serve the people and protect you from yourselves by controlling things and protecting your freedoms.
It's just gaining more control under the guise of protecting you from yourself or others.
Well, sure. Yeah. And that's the thing. Remember what I've always said, John. You must sacrifice liberty for freedoms. This is
that's bullshit, though.
But that's what it's going to come down to.
That's what they're doing, yes. But I don't agree with that. That's the thing. That should be happening.
That's the price that we have to pay in the present day. And we have to learn to shift that. I don't know how to shift it. I don't know how to get us back to a point where we don't have to sacrifice one or the other to have both. It's beginning to be a longer and longer road to hoe. I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel anymore.
Yeah.
I never want. I don't want to move to Canada, but
oh, fuck that. Yeah, too cold, too many meese. No. Um, but before we end out here, since we have more people in the chat or in the watching us at least, I want to make our announcements again.
Yes, please hit those announcements.
Beginning of the episode. So we have two big announcements. One of them being Friday, August 30th. We have Blonde from the Belly of the Beast, or In the Belly of the Beast, from Beauty and the Beta podcast. She will be on, and she's going to be hanging out with us, so that'll be a lot of fun. Very excited about that. And then Friday, December 6th, we have our new 12-hour live stream charity event. Which will be happening. We think we're going to go with Toys for Tots, but we're not 100% on that yet, but probably. And so we're going to get some people together. Robert wants to do 2 debates that night, so we'll see what we can do with that. But we'll be trying to get all of our, our normal, Freedom Scoop group around, and we'll try and get some other big guests and, other things like that. We have time this time to kind of plan it, so we expect it to be a lot of fun. So definitely check that out too, and we'll be announcing it again and doing updates and stuff like that as well. So stay tuned, guys.
Well said, John.
I know.
So, folks, hey, do us a favor. If you like what you're hearing, hit the like button. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. We have avenues with which you can find us. Of course, you know where to find us right here on YouTube. But, John, there's a couple of other places. Can you talk about that?
Down here in the description,
right
we have
right there?
several links. Yes, we have our Twitter, which is at the GenGapP. We have our Discord link down below. Go check it out. Discord's always fun. And we also have, I mentioned it earlier, freedomscoop.com, Freedom Scoop Media Group. Go check us out over there and check out the other great creators over there, like Jay Edgar, who's in the chat tonight, and Stephen Ignoramus, who's been on several times and in the chat as well. Those are good guys. We like them. We endorse most of what they say. So yeah, go check them out too. And yeah, that's about it.
All right, folks, we're going to wrap this up. We will be back again on Friday for our regular show at 8:30. We may have something interesting to talk about, but then again, we may. And then, of course, we'll be back again next Monday as well for our regular Shootin the Shit episode. And, hey, Jay Edgar, that is a very good point. Hey, if you haven't already, check out Jay Edgar's Discord. He has now got himself a brand new Discord server where he talks the trash. What is it? He talks the talk and he walks the walk. I've never seen him walk, actually, so I don't know. Can he walk? Maybe.
No, I've seen him get up out of the chair and walk out of the room.
Have you?
I've seen that before, yeah.
Oh.
To go get another scotch.
I always wondered if there wasn't a Professor X thing going on there. But anyway, we'll never know. All right, folks, we're going to get the hell out of here. John, thanks for stopping by tonight. Folks, thanks for being in the chat and helping us talk our way through this manic society that we're in right now. So hang on tight to your guns and hang on tight to your words, because there's no telling where they're going. We'll be back at you again on Friday. Have a good night, folks.
Yep, see you guys.